I feel the weight of every shadow that stretches across the docks, a cold, suffocating reminder that the peace we crave in Port Charles is nothing more than a fragile veneer painted over a rotting floorboard. My mind keeps drifting to the way the air shifted when the news hit. A sudden drop in temperature that felt less like the season and more like an omen, a harbinger of the storm that has been brewing behind the sterile, white walls of the hospital. I have seen enough tragedy to know when the universe is aligning for a total catastrophe, and right now, the energy is vibrating with a sinister frequency that makes my skin crawl. It is as if the very foundations of the city, built on secrets and blood, are shivering in anticipation of the next great fall. And this time, the victim is someone who was supposed to be safe. It is the kind of darkness that doesn't just knock. It kicks the door down and demands everything you hold dear as payment for sins you barely remember committing. Everything changed in a heartbeat at the Metro Court Pool, a place that usually feels like a sanctuary of luxury, but suddenly became the theater of a waking nightmare. Willow, with that signature grace she carries even when the world is pressing down on her, simply crumpled. There was no theatricality to it, just a terrifying hollow thud as she hit the ground, and in that instant, the vibrant blue of the water seemed to turn into a deep, abyssal black. I stood there, metaphorically speaking, watching the panic rip through the crowd, and I could feel the invisible threads of a much larger, more insidious game being pulled taut. This wasn't just a physical collapse. It was a domino falling in a line that leads directly back to the darkest corners of the underworld. We have seen her fight the beast of cancer before, and we know the scars that run deep, but this time, the scent of something manufactured, something poisoned by human malice, is thick in the air. If you look closer at the records, if you dare to dig into the digital footprints left behind in the hospital's mainframe, you will find the fingerprints of a ghost. The tests that came back from the lab, the ones that supposedly confirm a recurrence of her leukemia, feel wrong. They feel like a script written by someone who wants to see the world burn, someone who knows exactly which buttons to push to make the strongest people shatter. We are talking about a manipulation so precise, so surgically cruel, that it suggests a level of access that shouldn't exist. Someone is playing God with her life, turning her body into a battleground for a conflict she didn't choose, and the sheer audacity of it is enough to make anyone with a shred of decency scream into the void. It is not just about health, it is about control, and someone is clearly pulling the strings with a smile that would chill the blood of a saint. I look at Michael and I see a man who is becoming a jagged reflection of everything he once despised, a man whose love for his wife is now inextricably linked to a rage that could burn cities to the ground. He isn't the boy who tried to be better than his father anymore. He is the heir to a throne of thorns, and he is realizing that to protect his own, he might have to become the monster that everyone fears. The way he handles the situation with Brooklyn, the cold, calculating precision of his threats, it is a sign of a deep, psychological transformation. He is no longer just protecting his family. He is engaging in a cold war, a brutal chess match where the pieces are human lives and the stakes are existence itself. If he has to break the law, if he has to shatter his own moral compass to buy Willow another day, we all know he will do it without blinking. And that is where the true tragedy lies. Consider the way he operates now, the way his voice drops an octave when he speaks about power, or how his eyes seem to scan a room for threats, even when he is sitting right next to the person he loves most. He is living in a state of hypervigilance that is tearing him apart from the inside, a slow motion unraveling that would be heartbreaking if it weren't so terrifyingly efficient. He is convinced that the enemy is everywhere, that the shadows are creeping closer, and frankly, he is not wrong. The vulnerability he feels, the sheer helplessness of watching Willow wither away while the world keeps spinning, is driving him into the arms of the very darkness he tried to escape. He is turning into a mirror image of the patriarchs who came before him, and the irony is that he is doing it all for the sake of the light, unaware that the darkness is already consuming him. We have to ask ourselves how much of this misery is destiny and how much is just pure, unadulterated sabotage. The medical files, the sudden relapse, the timing, it is all too perfect, too convenient for the people who stand to gain from Michael's total submission. I suspect that behind the scenes, there is a puppet master who isn't just targeting Willow's health, but her spirit. They want her broken, they want her desperate, and they want her to be the bridge that finally crosses Michael over into the point of no return. It is a psychological trap, a classic maneuver to force a good man to commit a crime, and watching it unfold is like watching a car crash in slow motion where you can see the driver smiling as they steer toward the cliff. The question is, does Michael have enough sanity left to stop, or has he already decided that the end justifies the means? Think about the conversations occurring in the hushed hallways of the hospital, the secret exchanges in the back booths of Podzolose, and the way Brennan moves through the periphery of their lives like a shark in shallow water. He knows things. He has seen the cracks in the armor, and he is exploiting them with a surgical, cold-blooded efficiency that makes my stomach turn. He is the architect of this chaos, or at least one of them, and he is watching the Corinthos legacy bleed out with the detached interest of a scientist observing a specimen. He understands that if you take away a man's hope, he will do anything to get it back, even if that means selling his soul to the devil. And Willow, she is the collateral damage in a war that she didn't even know she was fighting until the ground disappeared beneath her feet. I find myself questioning every interaction she has had lately, every encounter with a stranger, every moment where she felt the world closing in. Was the relapse natural, or was it induced? Was the lab report a mistake, or was it a deliberate forgery designed to force a specific outcome? The implications are horrifying, and if I am right, then the people in charge of our health, the very people we trust to save us, are compromised. It is the ultimate betrayal, a violation of the Hippocratic Oath that makes the blood run cold. If you cannot trust the doctors, and you cannot trust the tests, then where do you turn? You turn to the only thing you have left, which is your gut instinct. And mine is telling me that the worst is yet to come, and it is going to come in the form of a choice that will haunt the residents of Port Charles for years to come. There is a profound loneliness in watching characters you have grown to care about drift into the abyss, and for me, it is the most difficult part of following this saga. We want them to win, we want them to find the cure, we want them to be happy, but the reality of the genre is that happiness is just a pit stop between disasters. The way Willow looked at Michael before she drifted into unconsciousness wasn't just fear, it was recognition. She knows something is wrong, she knows she is a pawn, and in her quiet moments, she is fighting a battle that is even more harrowing than the cancer itself. She is fighting to keep her identity, to keep her light from being extinguished by the cold, calculating machines that are trying to process her life as a variable in an equation of power. It is a struggle for the soul of the city, played out in the private, agonizing moments of a woman who just wanted a chance at a normal life. I have been watching the way the fans are reacting, the way the online forums are burning with theories and anger, and it is clear that we are all feeling the same collective dread. Some believe this is the end for Willow, that her time has come, and that we are witnessing the tragic descent of a character who represented the best of us. They are mourning her before she is even gone, and it is a testament to how deeply she has embedded herself in our hearts. Others, the more cynical among us, are already mapping out the conspiracies, connecting the dots between the lab technicians, the shadowy figures in the boardrooms, and the long-held grudges that have always defined the Corinthos family. They are looking for the exit, for the twist that will save her, because they refuse to believe that justice is truly dead in Port Charles. It feels like we are standing at the edge of a cliff, watching the wind pick up, knowing that the push is coming, and yet we are still transfixed by the height. The fear is palpable, the anticipation is electric, and no matter how much we say we want to look away, we know we won't. We are addicted to the pain, to the drama, to the way these characters mirror our own darkest insecurities and our own desperate need for redemption. The tragedy of Willow's situation is just a reflection of the larger, messier, more brutal world that we all participate in, even if we are only observers. It is the quintessential GH experience, being heartbroken, being terrified, and being absolutely unable to stop watching until the very last frame, even if it burns us to the ground. I keep replaying the scene in my mind, the way the lights at the pool seem to flicker, the way the silence followed the collapse. It is burned into my consciousness like a brand. It feels as though the universe is setting the stage for an endgame that has been in the works since the beginning of time. Every secret that has been whispered, every lie that has been told, every alliance that has been forged in the dark, it is all coming to a head, and the pressure is going to explode. The health crisis is just the spark, the initial blast that sets off a chain reaction of destruction that no one will be able to stop. It is a terrifying thought, but it is also the reason we stay, the reason we fight for every scrap of hope we can find in the wreckage, and the reason why, in the end, we will always come back for more. As the days pass and the mystery deepens, the divide between those who believe in a medical miracle and those who see the hand of a villain becomes even more pronounced. The debates are getting vicious, with fans picking sides and tearing apart every frame of the footage, looking for the one clue that will explain everything. Some say it is all in the head, a psychosomatic reaction to the stress, while others are convinced that there is a poison involved, a slow-acting toxin designed to mimic the exact symptoms of a relapse. The sheer variety of theories is a testament to the chaos that has been unleashed, and it is honestly refreshing to see the community so engaged, even if the engagement is born from a place of genuine, high-stakes misery. I have to be honest with you, I am leaning toward the theory that this is entirely man-made, a deliberate, cold-blooded act of sabotage that goes far beyond anything we have seen in recent memory. It is too clean, too precise, and too perfectly timed to be a coincidence. The fact that the hospital's systems were breached, the fact that the records were altered, and the fact that Willow was in a public space when it happened, it all points to a level of orchestration that is truly frightening. This is not just a medical problem. It is a declaration of war. And if I were in Michael's shoes, I would be looking for blood, not just answers. I would be turning the city upside down until I found the person who dared to touch my wife, and I wouldn't stop until there was nothing left of them but a memory. But that is the danger, isn't it? The moment you cross that line, the moment you decide to become the judge, jury, and executioner, you have already lost. The villains are counting on Michael to lose his head, to lash out, and to leave himself vulnerable to whatever trap they have set next. It is a game of patience, a game of endurance, and the ones who win are usually the ones who can keep their composure in the face of absolute hell. Watching Michael struggle with this to hold onto his humanity while his heart is being ripped out is the most compelling thing on television right now. It is raw, it is visceral, and it is the kind of storytelling that reminds me why I fell in love with this show in the first place. We are approaching a point where the truth, however ugly, is going to be laid bare for all to see. The tension is reaching an unsustainable level, the kind that can only be broken by a massive seismic shift in the status quo. Whether that shift results in a recovery or a funeral, we don't know yet. But we do know that nothing will ever be the same again. The residents of Port Charles are about to find out that some doors, once opened, can never be closed, and some secrets, once whispered, have a way of echoing forever. I am braced for the impact. I am ready for the fallout, and I hope you are too, because what happens next is going to be a wild ride that none of us will ever be able to forget. Ultimately, the discourse is a chaotic mess, split between those who are screaming at their screens for someone to help, those who are already mourning a loss, and those who are convinced this is the ultimate masterstroke of a long-term plan. It is a fascinating, polarizing, and deeply intense environment where every single viewer is a detective, a critic, and a witness all at once, making for a truly electric community experience.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.